The time is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, August 26, 2025. I'm calling to order the Board of Commissioners budget hearing. Today we have with us Commissioners Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as Bonnie Moore, our County Administrator, Kenneth Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, as well as Jeff Meixel, our County Treasurer. With that, we do have it open for public comments. There is a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act located in the north wall of the county board room. So I do want to open it to public comments at this point if anybody would like to address the board before moving on to the rest of the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, the regular commissioners agenda. 4.1 is a public hearing for fiscal year 2026 budget hearing. Daniel Talakis, Chief Financial Officer. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys being here a little bit early today. Let me remember how to cast this. Okay. So in front of you, you should have a physical printout of this presentation, as well as it being on your laptops in front of you. Whichever is easier for you to take your notes on is okay with me. Thank you for having me here today to present the fiscal year 26 budget. First, I would like to share a few thank yous. First, with the entire board. You guys have provided the direction to the county and to myself in priorities, and I thank you for that. The budget committee, that would be Bonnie Moore, Scott Bovick, Commissioner Mixon, Commissioner Warren, as well as myself and Jenny Rock from the Fiscal and Budget Office. Appreciate the time that you guys have put in throughout your days to continue to talk through this process. I've already mentioned Jenny once, but I'll mention Jenny again, as well as Michaela in the Fiscal and Budget Office. They're both a big help as we walk through this process as well. And then the individual departments, I'll touch on this a little bit later in one of my slides, but it's really a group effort here, and I appreciate all of their input. They put in a lot of time to present a budget or to recommend a budget to us. That sort of becomes the foundation or the basis of where we start our process. So I'll get into my presentation here, and I'll start by just saying that if I could summarize the fiscal year 26 budget sort of in one sentence, it would be that we are continuing to provide quality services to the residents of Sarpy County while addressing the priorities of this board and maintaining the fiscal integrity of the county. So kind of what does that mean a little bit? What are the priorities of the board that we're addressing here? So we're addressing public safety. How are we doing that? We have in the fiscal year 26 budget, the remodel of the 1200 building into the new 911 communications center. We also have the new West Precinct for the Sheriff's Office, which should open in September, as well as radio upgrades to improve the communications between all the public safety entities in the county. We're also doing that by looking at road infrastructure. Last week, we had the 1 in 6 presentation from Scott Bovick. We are investing in the county's road system, priority number 1 being that South Sarpy Expressway. We're also looking at sewer infrastructure. We're investing in those critical sanitary sewer repairs and also addressing the wastewater agency reserves that the county supports. And again, we're doing that all while maintaining our fiscal discipline. What does that mean? We are maintaining the county's tax levy at the current rate. We continue to budget other revenues conservatively in order to avoid any kind of budget shortfalls. We're doing that while maintaining sufficient budgetary reserves. We are managing our personnel numbers. There are no new FTEs added in this budget. We are continuing to fund our self-funded insurance plan, which is a benefit to the employees, as well as something that a county of our size should be doing. And all of that while continuing to manage the county's debt profile. Just an overall reminder of what does the county budget equation look like. It says we take all of our cash, we add in revenues that we expect in this fiscal year, and then we have to have a budget that spends all of that. So all of the cash, all of the revenue that we take in, the budget spends it all. In number form, what that means is the fiscal year 26 budget has $112.4 million in cash. We add to that $201.8 million of revenue over the fiscal year, and the expense budget is the full $314.2 million. Compared to last year, that cash number is up about $3.4 million. The general fund itself is up $10 million. The road fund is down $7.5 million in cash, so that explains that difference. On the revenue side, last year's revenue is $175.1 million, so the fiscal year 26 budget is an increase of $26.7 million. That is made up of a few key items, one being property tax increase of $5.6 million. I should change the word increase there. New property tax revenue of $5.6 million. There's also an increase of transfers of $12.3 million, as well as some increases in sewer fees and motor vehicle fees as well. On the expense side, we're looking at an increase of $30.1 million in the budget. Again, there's $12.3 million increase in transfers, as well as an increase of $14.5 million in spending on road projects, back to that priority of the board. But also in here, I should note that with all of our departmental budgets, they submitted operating budgets that totaled $1.6 million less than fiscal year 25's budget. We did add about $3.3 million to departmental budgets for the wage increases that were approved. So in total, the departmental budgets are up about $1.7 million, but a lot of thank you goes to them for keeping those operating budgets pretty conservative. What would a budget presentation be without a couple pie charts? So the first here is we look at revenue kind of by source. What are those buckets of revenue that we have in our budget? So there's really five sort of key buckets. The largest being property tax, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that here in a second. We expect $3.3 million in federal revenue. Those are mostly grants. $22 million in state revenue, the largest in that being the Highway Allocation Fund. $64 million in local revenue. These are all your departmental revenues. So this is interest and commissions inside the treasurer's office. This is passport fees, doc stamp fees collected by the clerk's office and register of deeds. This is sheriff's office revenue. This is road interlocal agreements for road projects. This is the health insurance fund. Those all fit in those local revenues. And then we have $28.1 million of transfers in this budget, and that's considered a revenue for the fund that's receiving those transfers. Similar pie chart for expenses. Again, this is by type. So our personnel services is $100.3 million. That is salaries, benefits, and the self-insurance fund is inside that as well. If you look at kind of the core departmental budgets, inside the general fund, public works, and 911, salaries and benefits is $85.2 million, or about 73% of those budgets. In addition to personnel, our next biggest investment is the other operating category. This would be the operating funds of the department. So inside here are your just everyday departmental expenses, utilities for buildings, maintenance of buildings, sewer is inside of here, as well as tourism, visitors improvement, those sorts of budgets. In terms of capital outlay, $69.8 million. This is where you see your road and sewer infrastructure, as well as the 911 remodel. And then it has some smaller items like computers and vehicles inside of it as well. You'll see the $28.1 million for transfers again here. This is when the transfer leaves those certain funds on the way to other funds. We have $10.6 million in the budget for debt service repayment. This would be on the jail building, as well as roads and the 1102 loan. And then lastly, we have a $21 million cash reserve in this budget, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later too. So I'll start here by sort of analyzing the property tax a little bit. So the chart in front of you shows the last 20 years of valuation change by percentage. And you can see that back in 2006, we had a pretty high value increase over the prior year. And going into that 2008 recession and through the 2008 recession, those property reassessment numbers were pretty low. But by 2015, when we come out of the recession, that has rebounded, and we see those pretty steady 6, 7, 8% property tax increases until the very recent history when we see these couple big jumps, 11% in 22, 14% in 23, 11% in 24. And for this year, we're looking at a 7.11% valuation change. That 7.11% breaks down 2.53% growth and 4.85% reappraisal. I'll just note here that the 2026 budget is based on 2025 valuation and 2025 tax levies, so that's why we see the years down below and not fiscal years. When we look at what the county's annual tax levy has looked like over that same 20-year period, it has never increased. It has decreased twice, once in 2015 and once in 2022. So this year, what are we looking at? This slide shows the 2025 valuation of the county at $29,604 million compared to last year, $27,637 million, almost a $2 billion increase in value. Again, that's the 7.1% that I showed a couple slides ago. That is both growth and reappraisal. The levy in this 2026 budget is maintained. It is the same levy as last year. We did not raise it and we did not lower it. That would provide the county $84,359,000 in property tax revenue. Compared to last year's $78,757,000, that's a $5.6 million increase in property tax revenue. But again, maintaining the levy. I've provided here just a little bit of breakdown that's not all into the general fund. There is a small levy in the Correctional Center Bond Fund as well as the County Sinking Fund. You can see those levy breakdowns there as well as the breakdown of how much tax revenue will go to each of those funds. On the next slide, we continue to manage the county's debt profile. This shows over the next 10 years the principal balance that we have on July 1 of each fiscal year. So we'll start this year with $135.3 million in governmental principal debt. Those are the building bond and the highway allocation bonds that are outstanding. That's the blue part of the chart. The green part of the chart is the business type activities, which I see now that this doesn't quite display on here, so I apologize for that. But those are the business type activities. Those are debt related to the stadium. So $18.9 million at the beginning of this year in outstanding principal on the stadium debt. In the fiscal year 26 budget, we will repay $9.3 million of principal. We will also incur $4.5 million of interest, and both of those together make up 4.4% of the fiscal year 26 budget. Talk a little bit about our reserve here. We have a reserve policy. It is Resolution 2022-220. It sets a minimum reserve of 2 months of operating expenses. And the GFOA has a best practice that says that we should have, or counties should have, between 2 and 3 months of reserve. And our discipline has allowed us to maintain the same 2.6 months of reserve that we had last year. Our policy says that if we ever fall below that 2 months of reserve, we have a 3-year period to get back into that above the 2 months of reserve. You'll see that back in 2022 and 2023, we were slightly below it. Since then, last year's budget and this year's budget, we are in the middle of that range. So why is that important? The budgetary reserve is one of the key components in the county's bond rating. As you know, we are rated AAA, which is the highest rating possible. There's not a lot of counties, both in the U.S. and in the state of Nebraska, that are rated AAA. And this really allows us to maintain the lowest rate on any new debt issuances that we do, which, as you know, with the 1 in 6 program, we are looking at a large debt issuance in calendar year 26. So really keeping that budgetary reserve at an appropriate level allows us to then receive a high bond rating, which is low interest for the county. And then just the last slide here before any questions if you have. Upcoming schedule for the fiscal year 26 budget process. What that looks like is today is the public hearing, so we'll open it up after this for any public comments. On September 9th, you'll have three resolutions on your agenda. One is to adopt the fiscal year 26 budget. The second is to create Fund 5259, which is the wastewater agency WIFIA loan reserve. And the third is a resolution authorizing the transfers that are in the fiscal year 26 budget. On September 19th, the joint public hearing for LB 644 is at 6 p.m. at Bellevue University. And we do have to attend that with maintaining our levy this year. That is a requirement that we'll have to attend that. September 23rd, you'll have a resolution setting the tax levy, and then that gives us 1 week to file the budget forms with the Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts. So this is what the next month looks like, both for the board and for the fiscal office. So with that, I'd open up any questions you have for me. Otherwise, public hearing.
Simple question on the blue and green. It shows the governmental debt, and then the green on top is that stadium?
That is stadium.
All stadium?
Yes.
And why the increases? Because additional work that has been done on the percentages where it went from 17.5 to 18.9.
So you're seeing it out into the future here. So what we're saying is we have $18.9 million of stadium principal due on July 1st of 25. July 1st of 26, we'll only have 17.5 because we'll pay a little bit of that off this year.
That helps. Thank you.
All right, I do want to open this up to the public. It is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the board at this time? Seeing none? Dan, thank you for your time. Yeah, I do want to open up to the board as well.
So GFOA on the reserve there, what does that acronym stand for?
Government Finance Officers Association.
Okay, and so that 2 to 3 county reserve policy, that's how much we have in reserves, right?
So the red line on this chart is the county has a 2-month minimum reserve. The GFOA recommends having a reserve that falls within a 2 to 3 month range. And then in this chart, we're in the middle, 2.6 months of reserve.
Okay, so our budget for 26 would have 2.6 months.
Correct.
And if we dropped below that best practice range, that would potentially affect what?
It could negatively impact the county's bond rating. Also, the policy itself says that if we drop below, we have to create a plan that will bring it back up above 2 months within 3 years.
Okay.
And it could allow us, depending on any kind of natural disaster or unforeseen circumstance, it could impact our ability to continue to, maintain normal services and things like that during that time.
Like when we had the flood in 2019?
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay. And then, so we have a lot of roads projects coming up. So if we're bonding for roads, being below that reserve level would potentially affect our ability to get bonds for roads, or how much they cost us, maybe?
Yes, it would impact the interest rate that those bonds would receive. It could impact the interest rate that those bonds receive. And if it would impact it in a way where the interest rate would be higher, which would then mean we would need to utilize more taxpayer money in order to pay back those bonds.
Okay. And then a question on the expenses with the bubbles with the pie chart. So the transfers, I'm always confused when we make the pie chart and then we put the transfers here and the transfers on the other part. I understand it's money in and money out, but it is money in and money out, right? So I think it's confusing to know where are we spending the money when the transfers are in there. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Yes, so I'll start here with this, the expenses chart here. So this is showing $28.1 million of transfers going out of a county fund or multiple county funds. And some examples of that are the general fund initiates a transfer to both Public Works for their operations and into the 911 fund for their operations. In this year's budget, there's also a significant transfer from the general fund to the Public Work Roads Fund. Again, that's the 1 in 6. We're utilizing cash on hand to help get those projects started before we go to the bond issuance in 2026. There are also transfers within the budget to fund the NDEE and WIFIA loan reserves for the wastewater agency, and then also to fund the stadium debt and stadium maintenance as well. So then that's the 28.1 that we see going out here. And then when you get to the revenue side, this is sort of those loan reserves, the Public Works and 911 operations funds, and the stadium funds receiving those transfers in. Now, the intent here is when we go back to this and we see that the budget is $314.2 million, if then we were to come down to these charts and you see a number that says I don't know what it would be, 280, right? You would say, well, why does that look different? That's why we included the transfers in the charts, but I certainly understand that could look, it's not new revenue or new expenses. It's just moving it around a little bit.
Yeah, from my non-accounting, I'm a lawyer because I don't do math, but from my brain, I would leave it out of the revenue and call those expenses. And I think that's way easier to understand, but that's just my 2 cents. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, you bet.
That's just complicated governmental accounting is what that is.
Is there,
Because you have to balance, and so you have to show it both ways. The only other question I had, and Commissioner Burmeister brought it up, the 2.6 months of reserve. What does that actually mean? Does that actually mean if we absolutely had no income or revenue because we're going to have the expenses. But if something happened where we had zero revenue, we have 2.6 months where we could go without taking in any revenue, and that would deplete our cash.
Yes, essentially what that means is if we had a point where there was, starting tomorrow, there is no revenue coming into the county, and we continued our normal operations, meaning personnel and normal operating costs, we could run 2.6 months with no changes.
Right.
Obviously, if something happened where we knew we were going to get zero revenue starting tomorrow, I think we would make some adjustments on the other side of that too, but that's what the 2.6 equates to.
Okay.
a quick question on the expenses going out and back in. Are those basically going out and then back into the same funds that they came out of? I'm just wondering if there's like, and we don't need to get way into the weeds, it's just a matter of if there's like a big shift in where they were coming out of and going to something else. It would just be interesting to see where those, I'm assuming it would be priority changes that would drive something like that.
Are you talking about the transfers? Is that what you're talking
transfer,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, so with the 28.1 million that you see here, those are transfers that are going from one fund to a completely different fund.
Completely different,
Now,
okay.
there's some rules behind that where, we don't have to. This is my understanding as I'm standing here in front of you right now.
Sure.
We do not have to have a separate public works fund. I believe that could be part of the general fund. We chose to have a separate fund, so we have to get money over there to fund that.
Sure, okay. Thank you. And I think officially, I need to officially close the public comments, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I think I'm going to be the bad news bear guy here a little bit. And I know you made a comment earlier about the tax levy, how we've kept the tax levy the same or we've lowered it. We've lowered it twice in the last 10 years or so. And that all sounds good until you really look at the other side, and that would be your annual valuation percentage change chart. Because if you look at that chart and you look at 2006 through 2008, we're up 11, 10, 7. And then we go into a recession and we still have an increase. We still have small increases. And then as we come out of the recession, we have higher and higher valuation increases. Now, having said all that, you would think that, hey, that's great. We haven't raised the levy. Well, but we've raised the other side of the equation, which is the assessed value. So even though we're going to keep the levy the same, pretty much, taxes keep going up. And it's not just us. We're only one piece of that big equation because there's numerous taxing authorities on that tax statement that you receive, that each one of us receive. And again, we're only looking at the county side of it, and I know the county is doing a fairly good job keeping everything in check. Now, the other thing is we can easily explain what we're doing and what we've been doing. I mean, with the sewer, with the jail, all of these over those years, I mean, the money just doesn't come out of, it's not sitting out on a tree that we go pick. So taxes are going up and have gone up over all of this time. But we're only one piece of it. The other side of it is you have all these other taxing authorities, and we don't control their budgets or any of that information. So, but with increased assessed value, taxes continue to go up. And obviously, we're getting to a point where they've gone up significantly for a lot of people. But what are you getting for that? And obviously, we can always, at the county level, we can always justify it. And you've said these pieces, the public safety, we're building for the future, we're putting in sewers infrastructure, we're putting in additional roads. We have tremendous value in the services that all of the departments are providing to the residents of Sarpy County. Now, the other side of it is if we don't want to provide and maintain the level that we're currently we're at, we could be cutting, but services will go down. So this is kind of a catch-22, and obviously I always say there's 2 or 3 ways you value your house. One is you want it the lowest value for the tax man. You want it the highest value to sell it. And then there's always somewhere in between. And so I just want to remind people, because unfortunately, we always try to get equality in taxing, but there's not, and it just doesn't exist. It won't ever exist, even though we try our best. Because we've talked about this about the Harrison Street line, and Douglas County uses a little different formula than Sarpy County, and we have all these taxing agencies, and we have taxing agencies that cross county lines, at school districts, fire districts, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be nice, again, if we can kind of come into some type of almost a consolidated area that we're at least trying to assess the same way, in the same manner, because I feel that the Sarpy County residents are probably paying more, and into the taxes that fund the agencies that cross county lines. So I kind of make this little statement every year, even though we are holding our budget as best we can. I mean, we have costs, and even though it looks like the county levy stays the same, we're not kidding anybody. I don't want to mislead anybody. Taxes keep going up. And there needs to be, again, you need to address it at the state level because there's reasons for that, and they've been looking at it. And unfortunately, in the state of Nebraska, it's very complicated the way it's all set up, and the bulk of it falls on property owners in the state. And so it's something that can't change overnight, but we're getting to a point of the taxation is getting to a point where we might have a revolt on our hands with the taxpayer down the line. That's all. Thank you for all the work. I mean, I understand a lot of this, and I'm not here judging anything that you're doing. I'm just giving my normal annual appeal, I guess.
To simplify Commissioner Mixon's appeal, a little handout you gave yesterday was extremely helpful for me. If you have a $30,000 or $300,000 house in Sarpy County, you pay Sarpy County $854.88, which will be a $5 increase over and above last year's taxes. That helped the whole thing for me to kind of solidify in my brain a little bit. Now, my taxes are going to go up more than $5, but the county side of the taxes. So thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
And that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Gary.
Any other discussion from commissioners?
Appreciate all your hard work for all you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Dan and Jenny and the rest of the office. This is a wonderfully simplified and clear explanation of the dedicated and complicated work that you guys do. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, with that, there's no action to be had. So all agenda items having been addressed as published, the county board is adjourned. Hey, Dan, did you send the The time is 3 o'clock on Tuesday, August 26, 2025. Calling to order the Board of Equalization. Today we have with us Commissioners Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as Bonnie Moore, our County Administrator, Kendra Kaler from the Clerk and Registry of Deeds Office, Jeff Meixel, our Treasurer, Denny Wilson, our County Engineer, Dory Heath, the Clerk of the District Court, and David Jones, our Election Commissioner. If you could, please silence your cell phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act located in the north wall of the county boardroom. With that, agenda item 4 is public comments. Do you want to open up to anybody in the public that wishes to address the board before moving on to the rest of the agenda? Seeing nobody, we'll move on to the consent equalization agenda. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
Up next, executive session. No need this afternoon. With that, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned. Next, it is now 3:02, calling to order the Board of Commissioners. We have with us today Commissioners Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as our County Administrator, Bonnie Moore, Kendra Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, Jeff Meixel, our Treasurer, Denny Wilson, our County Engineer, Dory Heath, Clerk and Register of Deeds, and David Jones, our Election Commissioner. Once again, do want to open up for public comments for the Board of Commissioners meeting. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to Commissioners, Administrators' comments and announcements. Commissioner Burmeister.
Nothing, thanks.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment, thank you.
And none for me either. That's short and sweet. Moving on to the Consent Commissioners' agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Warren. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion carried.
All right, item 6.1 is the Planning and Zoning Agenda, public hearing and resolution 2025-200, amend special use permit in AG Ag Farming District for the recycling of concrete and asphalt materials at 16884 South 111th Street, generally located southwest of 111th Street and Mitchell Road. Applicant Silex Group LLC, Robert LaRocco, Planning Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't go through this presentation again. We took a look at this a couple weeks back. This application for renewal of a special use permit was tabled at the July 29th, 2025 meeting to allow the applicant to coordinate with the county on the execution of a road maintenance agreement as recommended by the Planning Commission. Since that time, the applicant has been working with the county attorney's office. We do have that road maintenance agreement completed. It's item number 6.2 on your agenda, so you'll be looking at that next. We do have a couple of changes to the recommendations. Specifically, the staff is recommending approval of the renewal of the special use permit. The special use permit would have a sunset of 5 years from the effective date of today. So that would be 2030 that would be expiring. It's actually a little bit more than 5 years. It's the end of the year on December 31st of 2030, so a few extra months there. There would be the updated road maintenance agreement to include the continued assistance with maintenance on the gravel roads. Applicant would provide copies of all applicable permits received or renewed during that time frame, and all comments made by reviewing agency to the planning and the planning department are addressed. With that, staff does recommend approval with the revised conditions that I've laid out, and we're available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Robert. This is a public hearing. I'd like to open up to anybody in the public that wishes to address this agenda item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Pat Sullivan. I'm the attorney for Silex, 1413 South Washington Street, Papillion, Suite 1300. new spot for me. I'm just here to answer any questions, and otherwise, just wanted to say I appreciate not only the staff's, but the commission's indulgence and patience on this. We had some internal issues that I don't really want to get into, but we believe we've got those resolved and we can move forward.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Thank you. All right, with that, I will, is there anybody else from the public that wishes to address this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and be open to a
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion by Mixon, second by Warren. Any further discussion on the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
All right, next, 6.2, Resolution 2025-221, Road Maintenance Agreement between Sarpy County and Silex Group LLC. Nicole Spitzenberger, Deputy County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We worked with Silex, and we got the road agreement signed. It's a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2030. The requirement will be to pay for road maintenance, which is the lesser of the actual total costs, or starting out at approximately $11,600 with a 3% escalator over the 5 years. We roll in the last 2019 agreement each year, about $11,000 of that too. So, do you have any questions? Okay,
Thanks, Nicole.
thank you.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any further discussion on the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
All right, moving on to the regular Commissioners' agenda, Resolution 2025-224, revisions to the personnel rules and regulations for employees in the classified and unclassified service. Jody Riddle, Human Resources Director. Welcome, Jody.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners. In April, you approved Resolution 2025-90, which updated the personnel rules and regulations for the classified service. In front of you have additional updates and revisions to our classified and unclassified personnel policies. This is a continuation of the effort which began under my predecessor. As she noted in April, this is an iterative process. Policies have been added and reformatted into new templates, simplified for ease of understanding, and importantly reviewed for continuity across the policies. All the policies for the classified service have been approved by the Personnel Policy Board, as well as the Employee and Management Boards. Revising the policies is definitely a team sport, and I'm thankful for the input from the Employee Management Personnel Boards. The policies that apply to the unclassified service have also been moved over to an unclassified book. We'll present the last round of classified policies for review to the Personnel Policy Board in October, and you should see the final product for both classified and unclassified policies in late October or early November. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the 30-plus policies in front of you. I know it's a lot.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister. Any further discussion?
Just thanks for your work, Jody, and getting these put together so we'll be a little more organized.
Yes, thank you, Jody. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
7.2 is Resolution 2025-229, Supplement Number 3 to the Professional Services Agreement with JEO Consulting Group, Inc., approved by Resolution 2024-191 for the Northwest Sarpy Road Network Project C77 25-14 in the amount of $811,650. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Commissioners. You've seen this Northwest Sarpy Road Network map many times, and since we embarked on this project, JEO Consulting has been our partner on it. They provided preliminary design, helped us with public meetings that we've hosted out there, interactions with citizens, and now we're starting to move into the construction phase of some of these projects. You'll remember you awarded the bid last week for Giles Road, 2 weeks ago for Cornhusker Road. The Cary Street project has received its seal coat. I think that's finishing up in the next couple weeks. We'll be bidding out 222nd Street yet in the next couple months, and then 225th Street to follow next year. This agreement gets JO on board to continue with construction management, final design of some of those segments, additional right-of-way work and environmental work as we go through this process. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions for Scott?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Just one comment, over the last week, had a couple interactions with JEO in regard to that. They've been great to work with.
Motion carried.
All right, last up is 7.3, Resolution 2025-206, fiscal year 2025-2026, final allocation of levy authority for fire districts, agricultural society, Amber Hoteling, Clerk, Register of Deeds, Chief Deputy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today, I'm presenting to you the levies with the updated final certified values for the fire districts and Sarpy County Ag Society, which will require your approval. Today, I have Kevin Edwards, who is representing Papillion and Millard, and Rod Beefy for Gretna Fire. He's available to answer any questions you may have. Do you have any questions for Kevin, who's here to represent Millard and Papillion? No? Okay. What about Rod for Gretna? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. That was easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. All right, I would entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, seconded by Burmeister. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
Item 8 is executive session, which we do not need this afternoon. With that, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the county board is adjourned.